The floor of SHOT Show is always loud, always chaotic, and always full of promises. Every year, manufacturers claim they have built the next revolutionary rifle that will redefine hunting, survival, and modern sporting use. Most of the time, that is just noise. New paint jobs, recycled actions, higher price tags, and very little real progress. But this year feels different. Walking through the 2025, 2026 generation of rifles, there is a clear shift happening. Lighter materials, smoother actions, more modular platforms, and a serious focus on real-world performance instead of pure marketing. So this project is not about hype. It is about cutting through the showroom lights and looking at what actually matters in the field. Ergonomics, reliability, accuracy, recoil management, build quality, and most importantly, whether the rifle justifies its price when you are spending your own money, not a brand's budget. In this series, I am reviewing 5 rifles that represent 5 very different philosophies of modern hunting rifles. Some are built for mountain hunters who count every ounce. Some are designed for working-class sportsmen who want maximum value. Others try to blend traditional platforms with modern engineering. Each one has real strengths, and each one has real flaws that manufacturers would rather not talk about. This is not a sponsored list. These are objective observations mixed with my personal experience and honest opinions. The goal is simple. If you are looking for a serious rifle for hunting, survival, or practical sporting use in 2026, this series will help you understand what is actually worth your money and what is just another shiny object on the shelf. The number 1 rifle on this list is the Bergara Platinum Stalker, and this is easily the most talked about bolt-action rifle to come out of SHOT Show 2026. The crowd around the Bergara booth says everything you need to know. This is the rifle that represents where modern production hunting rifles are heading. High-end materials, extreme attention to action smoothness, and a clear focus on real-world performance instead of cosmetic features. From a technical standpoint, the heart of this rifle is Bergara's premier action combined with a fully stainless steel platform. What makes it special is the new platinum Cerakote finish applied over the stainless steel. This is not just about looks. The surface treatment is extremely slick at a microscopic level, and you can feel it immediately when you run the bolt. The bolt cycle is absurdly smooth. There is no binding, no gritty resistance, no mechanical noise. It feels like the lugs are floating on oil. Compared to most mass-produced bolt guns, this action makes everything else feel cheap and unfinished. In terms of practical accuracy, the Platinum Stalker is exactly what you would expect from a rifle in this class. Sub-MOA performance is not a marketing claim here, it is the baseline. In cartridges like 6.5 Creedmoor and 300 PRC, this rifle has more than enough stopping power for any legal big game application in North America, and it maintains consistency even when shooting from less than perfect field positions. However, this rifle is not perfect, and the flaws are real. The first issue is the stock texture. Bergara went too aggressive on the grip. After a full day of shooting without gloves, it feels like holding sandpaper. It is secure, yes, but it is not comfortable. For a premium rifle, ergonomics should not punish the shooter. The second problem is the finish color. The Platinum Cerakote, while technically impressive, is still too light for serious deep timber hunting. In dark environments, this rifle reflects more light than I would like. It is not a deal breaker, but it does contradict the idea of a true low-visibility hunting tool. From a subjective standpoint, this is one of the smoothest production bolt-action rifles you can buy in 2026. It feels like a custom shop rifle that somehow ended up on a factory line. The action alone justifies a large part of the price. Speaking of price, the Bergara Platinum Stalker sits in the high-end bracket with a typical retail price between $2,200 and $2,500 USD, depending on configuration. This is not a rifle for casual buyers. This is a rifle for hunters who already know exactly what they want and are willing to pay for mechanical quality. The second rifle on this list is the Weatherby Mark V Backcountry Capra, and this is the rifle that immediately targets a very specific type of hunter, the mountain hunter who counts every single ounce in their pack and is willing to trade comfort for mobility. Technically, this rifle is built around the legendary Mark V action with its 9-lug bolt system. This is one of the strongest production actions ever made, and it is designed to handle high-pressure Magnum cartridges without hesitation. The real engineering focus here is weight reduction. Weatherby pairs a carbon fiber barrel with the Peak 44 Blacktooth stock, creating a rifle that feels almost unreal when you pick it up for the first time. Your brain expects more mass, but it is simply not there. In practical terms, this extreme weight reduction changes everything. Carrying this rifle uphill for hours is effortless compared to traditional steel rifles. For long backcountry hunts, this is a massive advantage. You arrive less fatigued, your shoulders are not destroyed, and your overall mobility is significantly improved. However, physics does not disappear just because marketing says so. The biggest downside of this rifle is recoil. In Magnum calibers like 300 Weatherby Magnum, the recoil impulse is sharp and aggressive. This rifle does not push into your shoulder, it snaps into it. Follow-up shots are slower, and maintaining a stable sight picture becomes more difficult, especially from unsupported positions. The carbon fiber barrel also introduces thermal limitations. After 2 or 3 shots, heat buildup becomes noticeable, and group consistency starts to degrade. This is not a rifle for extended range sessions. This is a first-shot rifle. You take your shot, and the job is done. If you miss, the system becomes much less forgiving. From a subjective perspective, the Backcountry Capra feels like a specialized tool, not a general-purpose rifle. It is brilliant at exactly one thing, being as light as possible while maintaining Magnum-level stopping power. Outside of that role, the compromises become obvious very quickly. The third rifle in this project is the Bergara Premier Sierra Pro, and this is the quiet professional in the lineup. While the Platinum Stalker gets all the attention for its exotic finish and showroom appeal, the Sierra Pro is the rifle that serious backcountry hunters are more likely to rely on when conditions are not friendly and mistakes are expensive. From a technical perspective, the core of this rifle is Bergara's proprietary carbon barrel technology. Unlike most carbon-wrapped barrels that simply sleeve a thin steel liner, Bergara bonds the carbon fiber directly to the steel under high pressure. The result is a barrel that maintains the stiffness of a heavy-profile target barrel, but without the extreme weight penalty. In the field, this translates into better balance, improved wind stability, and more consistent accuracy across multiple shots. This rifle feels planted. When you settle into a shooting position, the weight distribution is almost perfect. It does not feel front-heavy, and it does not feel hollow. It feels like a precision tool that was built for real terrain, not for a shooting bench. Accuracy is exactly where this rifle shines. The Sierra Pro has no problem maintaining sub-MOA groups with quality factory ammunition. In realistic hunting scenarios, this means you can trust the rifle even in high-wind environments or awkward shooting positions where lighter rifles start to feel unstable. However, the Sierra Pro is not without flaws. The first issue is the magazine release. For a rifle in this price category, the bottom metal feels cheap. The latch is small, poorly positioned, and difficult to operate with gloves. In cold environments, this becomes a real usability problem. The second issue is the trigger. Out of the box, it is set too heavy for a rifle that is clearly designed for precision work. The break is crisp, but the pull weight feels excessive. You will almost certainly need to tune or replace it to fully exploit the rifle's accuracy potential. From a subjective standpoint, this rifle feels like a professional-grade hunting platform that assumes the user knows what they are doing. It does not try to impress casual buyers. It focuses on mechanical performance and practical shooting stability. In terms of price, the Bergara Premier Sierra Pro typically sits between $1,900 and $2,300 USD, depending on configuration and market availability. The fourth rifle on this list is the Henry SPD Predator, and this is easily one of the most interesting lever-action rifles to come out in recent years. SPD stands for Special Products Division, and this rifle represents a clear shift in Henry's design philosophy, away from pure tradition and toward modern practical use. Technically, the most important feature of the SPD Predator is the integrated receiver rail. Instead of relying on screw-on scope bases, the rail is machined directly into the steel receiver. This is a critical detail. When you are mounting high-end optics, especially thermal or night vision systems for predator hunting, you cannot afford any flex or movement in the mounting interface. This design is rock solid and far more durable than traditional solutions. The action itself is classic Henry quality. When you cycle the lever, it feels smooth, dense, and hydraulic. There is no rattling, no looseness, and no cheap mechanical noise. It feels like a solid block of steel moving inside another block of steel. For a lever gun, this level of smoothness is impressive and very satisfying. In practical use, the SPD Predator is clearly optimized for night hunting and close to medium range work. It is fast to operate, quick to shoulder, and extremely intuitive under stress. This is the kind of rifle that works well in truck-based hunting, farm defense, and predator control scenarios. However, the biggest weakness of this rifle is the trigger. There is noticeable lateral play in the trigger shoe. It wiggles side to side before the break, and once you notice it, you cannot unfeel it. For a rifle that positions itself as a precision predator tool, this is unacceptable. Trigger feel directly affects shot consistency, and this design undermines an otherwise excellent platform. The second issue is the loading gate. The spring tension is far too stiff. Loading rounds into the magazine tube requires excessive force, especially in cold conditions. It is uncomfortable, slow, and it actively works against the user. From a subjective perspective, the Henry SPD Predator feels like a concept rifle that is almost perfect, but not fully refined. The core idea is brilliant. A modern lever gun with true optic support makes a lot of sense in 2026. But small ergonomic mistakes prevent it from reaching its full potential. In terms of pricing, the Henry SPD Predator usually falls in the mid to high lever gun category, with a retail price around $1,000 to $1,200 USD, depending on configuration. The fifth and final rifle in this project is the Ruger American Rifle Gen 2 Prairie Edition, and this is the rifle that represents the opposite end of the market compared to everything else on this list. This is not a premium rifle. This is the working class option, the rifle that most people will actually buy with their own money. From a technical standpoint, the Gen 2 platform introduces a 3-lug bolt with a 70-degree throw. This is an important upgrade. The shorter bolt lift gives better scope clearance and allows faster cycling, especially when running large ocular optics. Ruger also updated the stock with their new adjustable splatter texture design, which improves grip and basic ergonomics compared to the older generation. In practical terms, The Ruger American Gen 2 does exactly what it is supposed to do. It shoots straight. Accuracy is more than acceptable for hunting purposes, and with good ammunition, sub-MOA performance is possible, though not guaranteed across every sample. However, this rifle feels like a budget product in every physical interaction. The bolt travel is rough and noisy. There is a distinct gritty sensation when cycling the action, and it sounds like metal scraping over sand. This is not subtle. It is the kind of feeling that immediately reminds you where the cost savings were made. The finish quality is another weak point. The receiver scratches extremely easily. Even basic handling leaves visible wear marks. This rifle will not stay pretty for long, especially if you actually use it in real outdoor conditions. From a subjective perspective, the Ruger American Gen 2 Prairie Edition feels like a tool, not a piece of engineering art. It is not refined. It is not smooth. But it works, and that is exactly why it sells so well. In terms of price, this rifle is its strongest argument. The Ruger American Gen 2 Prairie Edition typically retails between $550 and $700 USD, depending on caliber and configuration.